Good morning. Thanks for joining me on the live this morning. As you see, we're not on a horse. We're in the barn. It's a little cool today, but it's really not that bad. And go ahead. My farrier's here shoeing a horse, and there's David. So you're going to see stuff passing back and forth. He's right here putting shoes on Hammer, and Raven's going to be working horses. So you'll see a lot of activity right here. I uh, I know the light's not exactly good right here. I actually had planned on putting the camera there and shooting this way because the light would have been better, but then would have been in David's way. So we're going to get it done the best we can. Today I wanted to talk about fear and conquering fear. And Fran is here running the camera and helping me with comments. Go ahead, David. And I got my phone. We'll watch the comments here and answer your questions. If you have anything specific that you have a fear of, put it in the comments. We're definitely going to talk about the common ones. There's like fear of loping, fear of falling off, fear of failure. We're going to talk about those, and it could be horse related, kind of personal related, because it all kind of sometimes will blend together. So I put out a post on Facebook not too long ago where I talked about fear. And I got 3 rules to training a horse. The number 1 rule is I don't get hurt. The number 2 rule is the horse don't get hurt. And the number 3 rule is one of us has to learn something. And when you look at riding horses, training horses that way, that takes away a lot of your fear of failure, a lot of fear of doing the wrong thing on a horse. Horses are really forgiving animals. You can accidentally bump their face. If you kind of startle and bump, they're going to forgive you for little things like that. They're going to forgive you for not having the best seat. And a lot of times people are scared of trying something because they're either scared of failing or they're scared of messing up their horse. And you need to be concerned about messing up your horse, but that doesn't need to hold you back from trying things, from doing things. If you have a good concept of what you shouldn't be doing with your horses, and you accidentally do something, hey, I shouldn't have done that, and you can learn from that. You can move on, not do it again. And that's how we learn. That's how we grow to become better riders, better people. And that fear of messing up, the fear of messing up our horse, the fear of failure, that's the kind of thing that holds you back. And once you're locked in that frame, that state of mind, it's impossible to recover from that. It's impossible to grow as a rider, impossible to uh, learn to be better, to try new things, like showing. I talk about showing a lot, and that's one of the things that people they're afraid to get out there. They're afraid to uh, act stupid in front of other people. They're afraid to make mistakes in front of other people. But the thing about that is everything that could possibly go wrong when you're in the arena showing has happened to everybody else there. Nobody is going to look down on you. Nobody is going to disrespect you for those things happening. I've done just about everything you can think of. I've done in a show pen. If you anybody that shows any length of time, it's going to happen, and you fear that is holding you back is actually worse than making the mistake that you're afraid of making. I have fallen off in the show pen. I've had runs where it was just awful, terrible, and it happens. It happens to everybody. And you, the thing about it is, once that happens to you, and you realize, hey, that I survived. It wasn't no big deal, and nobody is looking at me any different. And they're not going to, because the same things happened to them. That fear starts to melt away, and everything else starts to get better, starts to get easier. See a couple of comments. I got good morning from Gail in North Carolina, Catherine in Massachusetts, and Gail in from freezing Florida. We were right at freezing this morning, but we're supposed to be like 57, 58 degrees this afternoon. It's actually going to be a really nice day. No wind. From Texas, Dusty says it's going to be 68 degrees in Seguin, Texas this afternoon. So really, really pretty weather. Today and tomorrow was really nice weather around here. Really nice for getting out riding and doing something with your horse. We're supposed to be back cold again this weekend. We're supposed to be back in the 20s with some ice and freezing rain, which is unusually cold for us. We'll get that once or twice a year, but that's the unusual. That's really the worst that it gets. And again, if you're just joining in and you're hearing some noise, my farrier is here putting shoes on Hammer. And if you saw his videos, kind of bringing him back from his fear, he was pushed too hard. He lost his confidence in the rider, and he had some fears, and it was showing in his behavior. And his owner pulled him from where he was at, from that location, brought him home, let him be a horse. And now we're putting him back in training in baby steps in what he can handle and working through his fear. Fear can run our life, and it'll hold us back from the things that we want to go accomplish in life. And I'm much older than I used to be. I'm a lot slower. I'm not as agile. So I'm a little bit pickier about the horses that I work, what I do with the horses, how I handle the horses. And I've made adjustments. And that's not really fear. I didn't let that fear stop me from riding horses. I just adjusted so that the fear wasn't a factor. I remember one time, it's been years ago, I was starting a horse for somebody, big, real big gelding, and riding around pen. It was first couple of rides. I don't remember, maybe first, second, third ride, and walking around, and he started bucking. He broke in two. And normally when I know I'm going to come off, I try to come off and get some distance from the horse. But when the bucking really hard like this one was, I don't have as much control over where I go. And if you've been bucked off of very many, you kind of have an idea. You get bucked off many, you get better at it. And Fran smiled, and I had been bucked off enough where I was pretty good at it. I controlled where I went, how I landed. But this one, it was just bucking hard. I didn't get no distance. I landed and I rolled over on my back, and I saw 4 feet right in front of me, up in the air, just about to come down on top of me. And that's a vision that I still see today, like it was yesterday. And because I was agile, I rolled out of the way and didn't get hurt. But I was a lot more agile, a lot younger then. And now I don't put myself in the position where that would happen. That's just riding smarter. And a lot of people have a fear of loping. They walk, they trot, and when they start loping, they're not confident at it. They're afraid of loping, afraid of that transition, and it's hard to work through. And I've had some people that the horse goes to just lope and they just freeze, and that's where working with a trainer really comes in very beneficial, because a trainer can help you work through that fear. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I've had some horses that were really good. I could put them on the lunge line, and no matter what the rider did, if I said lope, they would lope, and I would control the horse while the rider was basically just sitting there trying to recover and breathe. And in the article, I talked about your senses leaving when your adrenaline goes away, your hearing goes away. When your adrenaline comes up, your hearing goes away. Your peripheral vision narrows down; it goes away. All your fine motor skills kind of go away. It's basically a type of a flight instinct kicking in, and you have to learn to control that adrenaline. You keep that adrenaline down, then you have those fine motor skills. And sometimes an instructor putting you on a lunge line and lunging the horse until you start to control your breathing, use some breathing techniques. One of the things I like to do is I like to use hearing, because hearing is one of the first things that goes. And sing a song, play a song, listen to a song that's playing if there's a PA, and just bring that adrenaline down. And that helps you recover from the fear. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And that's just one situation. Sometimes, depends on how you are, you might be able to just push yourself through it. You might be able to get on the horse and make yourself lope for one stride, then come back down to a trot, regain your recover your breathing, let your adrenaline come down, let your peripheral vision come back, and then next time lope two strides, and then all that's going to start to close in. And the key is, when you feel that adrenaline coming up, when you feel that happen, is recognize it and working through it. And that pertains to whether you're loping or doing anything else that you're afraid of. When you feel your adrenaline come up, and those key things like your hearing start to go away, your peripheral vision start to go away, and start to recognize that, slow down your breathing and start to control your adrenaline. That is really key to not letting the fear take over, because once your adrenaline level gets so far, your fear starts to take over, and then you're just being controlled by fear. And it's really hard to recover from that. So, a couple more messages. Sean from New Hampshire says it's 10 below. I don't think I've ever been in 10 below weather. I'd probably melt. Foot of snow in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Any lunge line exercises that I recommend? I just talked about one. If you have a fear of loping, um, have somebody lunge you on a lunge line. That's a really good way to recover from that fear of loping, and it can apply to, you can just have a fear of walking on a horse. I had getting thrown in, like the old time teaching you how to swim, throwing you in the pool. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it don't work. I had a teenage boy come here one time, and he was just terrified sitting on the horse. He would sit on the horse and just freeze, lock down. And when I would ask the horse to walk, he just froze. He couldn't pick his hands up. He couldn't steer, couldn't do anything. He was just frozen. And I talked to him. I said, "What are you afraid of? Are you afraid the horse is going to run off with you? Are you afraid the horse is going to buck? What exactly are you afraid of?" And he said, "I'm afraid of falling off. The fear of falling off the horse and hitting the ground and what might happen, that's what had him frozen." And I said, "Okay, we're gonna fix this." And without telling him, I was gonna do the throwing you in the pool technique. And went and got a different horse, put him on that horse bareback, and just standing there, had him pet on the horse, kind of bring his breathing down, bring his some motor skills back in, and he was still holding the horse's mane and petting on him. And I took his leg and I just pushed him off the horse, and he rolled over and actually landed on his feet, still holding the mane. And I said, "Look, the your fear of falling off is way worse than actually falling off." And that's the situation with most of our fears. The fear of the thing is way worse than the actual thing. And within an hour after that, I had him back on a horse and he was trotting and steering. And that's not always the right way to handle that, but sometimes that's the right way. Sometimes you just have to do it. Uh, Sometimes, a couple of times when I've had somebody that was afraid to lope, I'd put them on a lunge line, tell them we're going to walk and trot, and then I would tell the horse to lope, and not tell them that it was going to happen. And I did that because of not bringing up the fear of the thing happening before it happened. So if they're trotting on a lunge line and I'd say, "Okay, we're going to lope," they would just lock down because that fear would take over. And then what we would do is they'd be trotting on a lunge line, and I would just ask the horse to lope, and the horse would go into a lope. And probably 3/4 of the time, the person said, "What's the horse doing?" Because they didn't know what a lope was. So you have to recognize what the fear is. You have to educate yourself about the thing that you're afraid of, and you have to come to a place in your mind that you're ready to conquer this fear. Um, when I was considering doing these live videos, the kind of what was going to happen on camera that was outside of my control, that was a fear I had. What am I going to do with it? What happens if I'm on a horse in the arena, it bucks me off? What's going to happen? And I come to the conclusion, well, if that happens, we're going to talk about it and talk about how to not do that again. That's we'll all learn something. And when I come to that in my head, that fear went away. And most fears are in your head. Most fears are kind of a demon in your head that you need to conquer. And sometimes getting thrown into the pool is the answer. But working on bringing your adrenaline down, working on thinking through the process, working on loping one step at a time, one stride. That that's little pieces to chip away on that fear. Uh, the opposite of getting thrown into the pool is kind of chipping away a little bit of time. And when we're starting a young horse, we want to try to avoid that horse's fear kicking in, because the fear kicking in is what kicks in the fight or flight reaction, the buck, run off, whatever it might do. So we're getting on and off that horse a lot. We're building that horse's confidence. We'll steer a little bit. We'll step down. We'll get on. All little things to kind of chip away on that horse's fear. And as the fear goes away, there's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to worry about, and the horse rides just fine. Uh, Dusty with Wild Wise says, "Do you find that people who can laugh at themselves are more likely to put themselves out there and learn better from their mistakes?" Never thought about that. I think that's probably true. I think there's probably a lot about that. I've noticed with the people that I have given lessons to and done things with, that people that have a higher stress job, first responders, um, prior military service overseas, those kind of things, they have learned in general, they have some techniques to help control their fear. And I've noticed, I've coached several um, first responders. One was a detective that had also had military service overseas. His first show, he had no problems with his adrenaline. He kept his mind. He kept his consciousness. He was steering. He was riding his pattern exactly how we had discussed, and because of the techniques that he had learned with his prior law enforcement and military experience, and those techniques, lowering your adrenaline, paying attention to your peripheral vision, your hearing. Your hearing is a big thing for me. If I can say, what am I hearing? That instantly brings my adrenaline down. That's the big one for me. Um, and chip away at it a little bit of time. I don't like snakes. I've never cared for snakes. I don't know that I'd say I have. Probably at one time, yeah, I had a fear of snakes. But in that situation, I've kind of educated myself what's the poisonous snakes, what's not the poisonous snakes, what's not poisonous, and still have a healthy respect for snakes, but I don't have the fear that I used to. And that educating myself about snakes pretty much made the fear go away. And as you educate yourself about the thing that you're afraid of, that fear starts to melt away. Let's see. Gail said, see, I'm trying to put these two together, to temporarily disable older rider. Lunge line exercise. Oh, for a temporarily disabled older rider. Um, Lunge lines for an older rider. First off, you need a good horse that's on the lunge line, and that's not necessarily the best riding horse in the barn, because you want that horse that's going to listen to the person that's handling the lunge line over the person that's on their back. And basically, you, as holding the lunge line, you're controlling that horse. And basically, just walking. A while back, I helped out with a veterans benefit where they brought a bunch of veterans in, and basically they got on horses and competed in like ranch events, ranch trail. Um, so a lot of them worked some cows. Some of them had never ridden a horse before, and one particular, the veteran that rode my horse, she was, I think, in an IED explosion and lost her leg above her knee. So one leg above her knee had been amputated. She had the other leg, and the I knew the horse was going to be fine, and I knew the horse was going to do what she wanted to do, but she wanted to work cows, and I knew the horse was also a very cowy horse, and but she didn't let that fear of what might happen stop her, and she got on Missy, worked the cow, and actually the cow and the horse went right, and she come off to the left. She just didn't have a leg to hold on with, and got up and laughed and said, "That's the most fun thing I've ever done in my life." And like Dusty said, you got to be able to kind of laugh at yourself a little bit. Uh, if it happens, it happens. And she didn't. Not only did she not let the fear stop her, uh, when the horse worked good and she come off, she got up laughing about it and she had a great time. Let's see. Let's go through a couple more of these messages. I learned to ride at 49. There was a lot of fears I needed to get over to be confident. Learning to canter was terrifying at first. That's a really big one. Learning to canter, and it's kind of funny. When you're on the horse, cantering the horse, you feel like you're just flying 100 miles an hour, and then if you watch a video of yourself, like, wow, I was barely moving. It always feels faster when you're on the horse because of that adrenaline, because of that worry, and once you get learn to control that adrenaline, piece at it, a pick at it, little bit at a time, canter 1 or 2 strides, slow down, recover, canter a couple more strides, slow down, recover, and um, just a little piece at a time. Is it giving you a problem? Okay. He can not okay. Um Another question. Let's see. I got Utah and Southwest Colorado. Thanks for joining. I told my trainer about your exercise with pool noodles utilizing a freeze tag model. He created a similar scenario, and I learned that if I'm chasing a cow, I don't feel the fear of acceleration. Very, very good point. This is something I've done with a lot of my youth students. So, however many kids there might be, 4, 6, 8, however many in the arena, and then I would give 1 or 2 of them, depending on how many we had, a swimming noodle. We'd cut it in half, and basically we played freeze tag. And if you got hit with the noodle, you were frozen, and you stayed frozen until somebody come and unfroze you, just like old fashioned freeze tag. And the only rule we had was you couldn't hit the horse in the head. And what would happen? The kids would be so into the game, they would be cantering and had never cantered before, because they wouldn't canter because they were afraid to canter. And they would be cantering, playing the game, and not even realize what was happening. And because we put the context of the canter into a game, it was no big deal. And a lot of times when you're out in an arena or in a round pen and you're wanting to canter for the first time, that's all that you're thinking about. You're so focused on that cantering, and it takes over. I've done the same thing, like she said, tracking a cow. You put a cow in a small arena and get on your horse and just follow the cow, walk, trot, lope, and that game of following the cow helps you take that adrenaline away, helps you take that fear away, and there's all kinds of techniques to help chip away at the fear or distract your attention from the fear. Ty is asking, were you guys affected by the big snowstorm that affected half the nation last week? It got cold here, but we didn't get the snow and the ice. That all stayed north of me. We had some pretty chilly mornings, but nothing real bad. We didn't lose power or anything. And north of me, they were pretty bad off. Up around Oxford and Starkville, Tupelo. I have a friend that trains in Starkville, and he said the ground in his indoor arena was frozen. And up there, uh, they don't they rarely get snow and ice. Maybe once a year, maybe once every other year. So they're not really set up for it. And different parts of the country that knows to expect that, to plan for it, they'll put out contracts with companies, snow removal contracts and salting contracts and that kind of thing, so that if the storm comes in, then they will remove the snow and treat the ice, that kind of thing. Uh, but it never happens, so they don't put it under contract. Good morning from Northeast Connecticut. Sunny and super cold. It's cold in a lot of the country. We're supposed to get colder weather this weekend, but we're still not supposed to get the ice that a lot of the country gets. That's the rain. We was going to get rain, but it's not going to be near as bad as what most of the country. Let's see. Leanne says, I broke my L6 and 7 and multiple ribs from a major buck situation that wasn't a good deal. Situation wasn't good. Still dealing with that. Happened last summer. That can happen. The thing about riding horses, I say, if you ride horses, eventually you will get hurt. The question is how bad, and uh, it's there's all kind of reasons what would have happened to the horse and that kind of thing, and it's going to happen, and you can be as prepared as you can be, do everything you can do, and there's just inherent risks in horses, and it's a shame, but sometimes that does happen. Okay, Lisa said, I cannot ride my Frisian for 3 months. He has Sweeney shoulder, need to build his top line and do pole work. Have you ever done in hand pole work? It's 2 times a week, 15 minutes. Good. Um, a lot of, I do a lot of physical therapy with horses, and the therapy is going to be dependent on what is going on with the horse. And Sweeney shoulder is a pinched nerve in the horse's shoulder, and it creates some really big issues with the horse traveling. It's the pinched nerve, and just like us having a pinched nerve, and the physical therapy is going to be for that injury, and is 2 times a week, 15 minutes. Good. That's really something you're going to have to talk to your vet about, and the kind of the extent of what you need to do. In many cases, you need to start off maybe short sessions and sessions close together, and then gradually build those sessions out longer. So that's going to be specific to the horse. The horse's um, medical condition, whether it's Sweeney shoulder or EPM or any other condition that your horse might have. Ty says, I heard a wise horseman say, replace fear with knowledge. That's true. Uh, Knowledge will fix most of your fear. When the fear is something that you are physically going to go do, like cantering, you absorb as much knowledge as you can, and then go in uh, and do it. And absolutely true. Fear, knowledge always helps fear. Sebastian said, "When I've had issues with fear, it's because of unexpected more of my of expecting more of myself, or the situation that is unreasonable." That's very true. You need to know your limitations, your horse's limitations. And Sebastian just had a little bit of a wreck not too long ago. I hope you're recovering okay, recovering good. And anytime we have a wreck, we're going to have some fear of getting back on. But the thing about, like what Ty said, knowledge helps conquer that fear. And if you have the knowledge of why that wreck happened, just like the wreck that Leanne had, that she had a serious accident. And but when you can look back and have a knowledge of why that happened, that helps you prepare for it better next time. Knowledge always helps. Um, knowledge always helps conquer fear. Kathy said, "Good morning from Columbus, Ohio." I'm sure it's cold there. Fear can paralyze if allowed. Absolutely, I've seen it happen multiple times. Paralyze you physically and paralyze you mentally. Just kind of lock you down. Um, a lot of um, a lot of people have experienced that, or seen it happen. But knowledge and chipping away at it a little bit at a time will help conquer that fear for you. Miriam says hello from Sonora, Mexico. Actually, I am in Phoenix right now, receiving my newborn grandchild. Congratulations, Miriam. Have not ridden in a month. I'm in a hurry to go back home and ride my horses. Yeah, I bet you are, but I bet you're glad to visit with your new grandchild. I've done some video lessons with Miriam, and she's a very accomplished rider, and I'd be there with my meeting my grandchild too. Uh, Chloe says it seems like the horses actually like you as an individual. Are they sad when they leave? Can you teach the owner your ability to give confidence in the horse? I think most of the horses here do kind of genuinely. I think like isn't quite the right word. I think all horses look for leadership and trust, and all the horses in here, every horse wants a leader. That's part of being a herd animal. They feel safer in groups, and they feel safer with a leader. And I think the horses like my way of leadership, and I do my best to try to help the owners learn how to be a leader, learn how to work with their horse, and it comes better to some owners than others. And I think some people are just generally a little bit better leader than others, and just I think I have a genuine will to try to help every horse, and I think every horse recognizes that. Catherine is asking, "Do you have generator if you lose power?" We do. Uh, we have a full generator. We're on well water. The generator is a propane generator, so if we lose power, it's really not an issue here. We're set up for hurricanes here, and losing power just happens with a hurricane. When Katrina hit in 2005, we were out of power for 28, 29 days, I think it was, and it was pretty much. I wouldn't say it was a non-issue because there was a lot of bad stuff that went on. But as far as having power, having water, being able to water the horses, that kind of thing, that was really not a problem. Had a lot of trees down. Um, there was a lot of flooding in the area. We weren't flooded. The ranch wasn't flooded, but I had that barn that I had then. I had lost a little bit of the roof off the barn. I didn't have any trees down on fences. Had trees down, but I just got lucky. A lot of people had a lot of damage. A lot of people lost everything they had. Good morning from upstate New York. 5 degrees. That's cold. When my son was a teenager, he's 41 now. 40, I think. 41. He 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 was in Boy Scouts, and he started out as a Tiger Cub in first grade, went all the way through Cub Scouts, and actually went on and made Eagle Scout and Boy Scouts. And they had a deal where if they camped out overnight and it froze, they would get an extra little uh, token on their belt thing, and they had to put water, put I think it was an inch of water in a styrofoam, a plastic cup, and set it outside. And if it was frozen when they got up the next day, they got the chip for their bag, their belt. And every time it was supposed to freeze, they wanted to go camping, and so I've had my fill of camping out in cold nights. One night, I think it got down to 10 degrees. I think that's the coldest I camped in, and I was miserable. Yeah, and Catherine said I have her horse here, the Appaloosa that's here, Willie. He's here for the winter. He's actually the one that was pretty bad when I got on him the other day, acting like he wanted to buck. He didn't buck with me, and she said that he's never bucked with her, but kind of acted up. But got him going and actually got him a little bit sweaty that day, and he's been good ever since. I had two horses come in yesterday from Montana. They're in a stall over here and a stall over there, and it was uh, pretty cold weather when they left. And I'll be telling you all about those two. And can a horse learn a rider is fearful, and how do you undo that pattern? They can definitely learn that a rider is fearful. A horse reads you very well, and they're going to know how good a leader you are. They're going to know how fearful you are, and it kind of in life there's a fake it till you make it saying, and it doesn't work with horses. They're going to know that if you're scared, they're going to know, and that goes back to knowledge. A lot of times, the best way to fix that is with knowledge and with practice, and you can just tell your horse to do something that you're confident doing. That's going. Then your horse is going to kind of be a leader, and or accept that leadership, and they just finished putting shoes on. That was Hammer, just got his shoes on. And so his deal was he was with a level 4 trainer during his 2-year-old and 3-year-old year. Got pushed too hard and developed some fears of the rider and how hard he was being pushed. And had some time off, and now he's back to get back going again. Put back in training and see what we can do. Gradually build him up and get him back in training, see where we're at, but not so hard that the fear comes out. And that happens in horses. If you push them too hard, if you push people too far, they'll get scared. Uh, but you have to push some, or they're going to be stagnant, not going to progress. You have to be observant enough to know where that line is, and that you do your best. Sometimes you might push a little bit too hard, and you should be able to recognize that and back off. I always say, read what your horse is telling you, not what you want to hear, and that's so important. And so many people are not very good at that, and it's okay if you're not good at that, but recognize that you're not good. Recognize that, hey, I made the wrong call here, and back up and adjust. That's where you and your horse both get better, and that's where you avoid all the big problems. And as far as a horse definitely knows that you're scared, and but there's little pieces you can chip away at that. If there's a certain thing you're scared of doing with the horse, have somebody help you with the horse, or take that, break it down in little pieces, and yeah, yeah, root. Rudy says they feel it. They definitely feel it, whether you're on the ground or in the saddle. And a lot of somebody said a little while ago about the horses liking me. I think that's a big reason why they like me. It isn't so much that they like me. They know that that fear is not there. And if we're going to go, whether it's work in the round pen, or we're going to lope circles, or we're going to go out trail riding or work cows, I'm pretty level all the time, and they're not gonna they're not gonna pick up on any fear. Back when I was a young trainer, there was certain things that I was afraid of doing, and certain wrecks that I had that kind of shook me a little bit. That happens with everybody, and that fear, you have to kind of manage. Your different people have different fears or different things, different levels, and chip away at it a little bit at a time. Um, I spent 20 years as a police officer with the sheriff's department and been in quite a few kind of touchy situations. And there's not hardly anything that a horse can do that's more fearful than some of the situations that I've been in. Um, that's how I'm able to stay consistent. And the other thing, I've worked so many horses. There's not much a horse can throw at me that I haven't seen. I had Duels as a horse that I had in training back years ago. He was um, a dual pep, the own son of dual pep, and he would do this thing where he would rear up, and when a horse rears up, I'd bring my shoulders forward. Well, he would come down, and as soon as he come down, he would come up in the back end. And I'd get forward when he was up, but I couldn't get back up before he's got his back end up. And he pitched me over his head. Sometimes it'd be 3 or 4 times in a ride. And just so many times that it was just a thing. Just get back on and do it again. And he ended up quitting, and I didn't give up, and ended up winning a lot on that horse. But he was green, and that's was kind of his mo. Uh, can you talk about the value of a good lesson horse is? Absolutely. And a good lesson horse isn't necessarily the best riding horse out there. I've had several really good lesson horses over the year. I had a BLM Mustang that was probably one of the best lesson horses I ever had. Um, really, really smooth lope. She would go into lope and you didn't even know that she was loping. She was probably the best one I had for building a rider's confidence in a lope. And I've had Bob out there. He's really not that good of a lesson horse. You see me do a lot of stuff with him, but he don't like for anybody to hang in his mouth. If you're too heavy on your legs, he's just going to ignore you. He's not a good lesson horse. Um, Lucy, I used to have her. She was a real good lesson horse. And it takes a certain kind of horse. It takes a horse that's tolerant to a point, but also when the rider is done enough, when the horse has had enough, the horse lets the rider know in a way that doesn't kill the rider's confidence. And good lesson horses are really are hard to come by. And I get so frustrated when I see good lesson horses in programs that either they burn them up. They're either doing too many lessons on the horse doesn't get the time off, or they're doing things that just make that lesson horse hate its job. And you can have lesson horses in a lesson program for years, but you have to manage the horse just like you manage the rider. And a lot of instructors that know how to give lessons and can be really good at giving lessons don't know how to manage the horse. That's like the cows that I use. We manage the cows, and they'll last a long time. You don't manage them well, you're going to have to swap them out every couple of months. And it's all in managing that lesson horse so that it works. There's certain things that some lesson horses will tolerate, some won't. Bob back there cannot stand for a rider to hang on his mouth. Now you can get on him and you can bridle him up and use your legs and get him correct, but as far as just hanging on his mouth, he don't like it. He'll stick his nose up and he'll run off with you. It's calm and cool and the laid back things that you've seen me do with him, he doesn't like that. Then that's just how lesson horses are. Miriam says, I want to tell you that I love your book. It's a great book, full of truths and wisdom, difficult truths that we have to conquer about ourselves. Thank you, Miriam. Um, the book is about a lot of the lessons that horses have taught me, and um, I really enjoyed writing the book. I really enjoyed kind of reminiscing about these horses. Some of them are horses that I've had recently. Some of them are horses from back years ago, and but every horse will teach you something, and sometimes what they teach you is don't do that anymore. But it doesn't matter as long as you're open to the lesson, then you're going to learn something. And if you learning something, your horse is going to learn something. You learn something on this horse, that helps your next horse learn something. And that was kind of my purpose behind writing the book, and try to help people open their eyes to being willing to learn from the horse. And there's so many lessons that your horse teaches you, and I'm well into writing my next book, and I'm looking forward to that one. I've posted a little bit about what that book is. I made a Facebook post, kind of doing a little bit of the sections of the book, what it's about. If you've seen the Facebook, a lot of the Facebook posts that I've made lately, I wrote those to actually incorporate into the book. So if you've seen any of those posts, that'll give you an idea of the kind of things that I'm going to be talking about in the book. Sebastian says, this is very much something that I find being early on in my career. I still haven't seen it all, and horses can still surprise me sometimes. That's true, and I think any rider, any trainer, anybody in their horse career, when you're first starting, you've only seen a few things, and as you see more things, um, you learn from it, and you become a better trainer, a better rider. I was talking with Sebastian a while back. He's in England, and he mostly rides English, and he had come across a horse that was aggressive. I can't remember, was it towards a chicken or a sheep or something? I can't remember what it was. The horse was aggressive towards that, and that was something that was new to him. And the cow horses that we work, if they're not that way, they generally don't make it in working cow horse, because we want that aggression, we want that type of demeanor. And until you've seen it, you don't know what to do with it, and it can be really scary at first. If you're on a horse and riding around, and you've never experienced that before, and all of a sudden your horse just kind of ignores you, pins his ears back, opens his mouth, and runs off trying to kill something like a dog, that's scary at first. Friend of mine, we were trail riding. This had been years ago, both on our cow horses, and a dog ran out, acting really aggressive, like dangerous aggressive. Well, the horse that she was on put its head down to the ground, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. Both front feet were up above that horse's head, trying to stomp, trying to kill that dog. And the cow horses, the kind of horses that we ride, that's how a lot of them are. And if you haven't experienced that, it can be pretty scary. And different types of horses is going to be different ways. What's your opinion on bedding depth in the stall? The barn where I barn doesn't use much. They have mats, and it makes me worry for my horse's joints. So we have stall saver mats. They're actually a porous mat. There's no seams. The urine goes through the stall, and we pour citrus cleaner over the wet spots, and it breaks down the urine under the mats. We don't use much bedding either. um, where the mat has some cushion to it. It has sand underneath, and we don't use much bedding either. It just depends on the setup. Now, if you have mats on concrete, yeah, you're going to need a lot of bedding. But it depends on the setup. Just because the stall doesn't have much bedding doesn't mean that there's going to be a problem with the horse's joints. That's just what the setup is. I've seen mats on top of concrete, and it don't matter how much bedding you put, it's going to bother some horses. Some places we go show, it's just dirt. Some have mats. Some have mats on concrete, and some are mats on dirt. And I usually try to get the dirt stalls or the mats on dirt. I try to avoid concrete, um, but it just depends on the situation. We don't use much shavings in our stalls either. Do you have books that you recommend? So I'm not I'm not a big reader, quite honestly. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and uh, I used to listen to a lot to some audiobooks with about training, but that's been years ago. I used to watch a lot back when you have to watch on video. I watched a lot of CDs and VHS tapes. Um, Most of the books that I listen to now are more business related and personal growth type related books, and that's the books that I kind of gravitate to. Um, there's horse training books out there. There's all kinds to cover all kinds of stuff, and it's one of those situations where I just had this a conversation actually with a couple different trainer friends of mine. There's no right or wrong way to do things. There's what's right or wrong for that horse, and one particular way might work better than another way. But you watch me do a certain technique or you read a technique in a book, that isn't necessarily the absolute right way to do it all the time. So I think you the best thing is to either read a bunch of different books with different techniques, watch a bunch of different videos with different techniques. I do the things I do because of the reining and cow horse background that I have and going in that direction. And go in a different direction, you might use a little bit different technique. So I don't really, as far as any specific books, I'd like you to read my book, but there's no um, just absorb as much information as you can, whether it's from books or watching videos, whatever. And then get out and ride your horse. So many people spend so much time reading books, watching videos, watching YouTube videos, going and auditing clinics. None of that is a substitute for getting on your horse and doing. Back when I was early on in my training career, there was no YouTube, no Facebook. If I wanted a video, I had to order it and have it mailed in to me. And uh, the Andre Fapani's 2-year old, 3-year old series was I watched it over and over, and I would watch the thing in the video, and then I'd go out and try that with a horse. And to me, that's the best thing. Watch a video and then go do the thing, or read something in the book and go try that thing and see if it works for you. It might work for you. It might not work for you. But you have to try it. There's no substitute for actually get it going and doing the thing. Uh, current or upcoming training slots available? Yes, I do. I have slots from about the middle of February going forward available. If you'd like to contact me about a training slot, message me and we'll talk about it. I've actually these two horses came in yesterday. I've got two horses leaving today. There's always horses rotating in and out. So if you want to talk to me about sending your horse for training, message me and we'll talk about it. Be happy to talk about it. Thanks for reminding me. Uh, Ty says, "Do you have a favorite horse movie?" Um, it's funny if I'm not here working horses, I usually don't have anything to do with them. Um, I don't really have a favorite horse movie. I like a lot of the older John Wayne movies. Um, as a kid, I watched a lot of Roy Rogers. My probably my two favorite movies are The Green Mile and Apollo 13. Neither one of them are horse related at all. So I don't really, I don't watch much horse stuff when I'm not riding a horse. And actually, I have this YouTube channel that you see here, and I actually have another login to my YouTube with a different email. And when I watch YouTube, I don't want horse stuff coming up, so I'll actually log in with my other login, and I watch a lot of YouTube about boats and history stuff, and very little horse stuff. I actually, quite a few years ago, I was involved in training some Marines that went into Afghanistan, and there was a movie made about what they did in Afghanistan. And they came to my mounted police unit, and as the leader of the mounted police unit, I kind of headed up their training um, before they went and did that mission. So that was pretty interesting. Um, I've got a friend of mine that years ago he did Civil War reenactments, and after that he went into work as like an extra in some movies, and he's in quite a few movies with his horse as an extra. If you've been to the Alamo and saw the movie that they play when you come into the Alamo, you saw him. He's one of the prominent horses in there. Uh, Ty's asking, do you ever use a full cheek bits on horses? I don't, not an actual full cheek. The D ring snaffle that I use has a pretty big D on it. So it's not actually a full cheek. It's not as tall as a full cheek, but it gives the effect of it. And that's why I like using D ring snaffles. I'll start a horse in a loose ring, but I'll go to a D ring pretty quick to get basically the effect of what a full cheek would do. So I think we're going to end it right there. It's been close to an hour. I appreciate everybody for joining in. I hope if you have any fears that you want to help conquer, message me and we'll talk about it. Try to talk about a plan. Talk about little ways that you can chip away at that fear, and that's the key. Chip away at the fear. Learn to bring your adrenaline down. Learn breathing techniques. For me, it's listening. If I can kind of think, hey, what am I hearing? That does a lot for bringing my adrenaline down and getting me through situations where my adrenaline's high. So I appreciate everybody for joining. Until next time, thank you for watching.